Great, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mayor Val Vandenbroek, and I'd like to call the November 22nd or December 12th. Sorry, my dates are wrong on this. December 6th, 2021 regular council meeting to order, and begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Katzie, Kwantlen, Mascui, and Semiahmoo First Nations. And for any members of the public who are in attendance to watch these proceedings, welcome. And just a reminder to keep your mics and your camera turned off while you are in attendance today, please. So with me, I have Councillor Paul Albrecht, Councillor Terry James, Councillor Nathan Bahal, Councillor Rudy Storterboom, Councillor Rosemary Wallace, Chief Administrative Officer Francis Chung, Darren Leiter, Director of Corporate Services, Carl Johansson, our Director of Development Services, Hirad Gill, who is our Manager of Engineering Services, Kim Hilton, our Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services, Kelly Kenny, our Corporate Officer. So welcome, everyone. All right, so adoption of the December 6, 2021 regular agenda meeting. Before we consider the adoption of the agenda, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
I'm sorry, is that for me?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make it out. Yeah, I wanted to include something I sent along to council about a letter of support for those municipalities that have been devastated by this flooding. I don't know that it's urgent, but it is available for council to approve consideration of this as a motion. Otherwise, I would ask that it be a notice of motion for their next meeting.
Okay. Was the information was circulated to council as required under the council policy procedure or procedure bylaw. So if everybody's good, we can do a motion because it has been brought to us in a timely and procedural way. So we'll add it to the agenda, and I'm going to add that is need a mover and a seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Bahal, Councillor Storterboom, and then pass that the December 6, 2021 agenda be adopted as amended. Any further discussion on that? And that carries. And I will add that on to, let me find it, Councillor Storterboom. Under 6, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Actually, no, 7. Administrative reports. Oh, I don't have a motion part here.
Actually, Madam Mayor, it'd be section 8.
Section 8, which I don't have on here, so we'll add it to it. Sorry, I'm just flipping through my paper. Oh yes, we will add it under new and unfinished business under 8 before we go into closed. Okay, so we are going to go into a committee of the whole, and it's a meeting which provides council the opportunity to hear input from the public and allows council a greater opportunity to speak to and debate specific agenda items. That council motion is that council commence the committee of the whole. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Storterboom, Councillor Albrecht, call those in favor. Any opposed? That carries. So we have development permit application number DP 06-21. The development permit would authorize a 1,499.11 meters squared commercial addition to an existing large format furniture store at 20359 Langley Bypass. Mr. Johansson, I understand you have some introductory comments for us, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Just very briefly, this development permit for the addition to the Jags Furniture Store went to the advisory design panel, and the applicant has incorporated the recommendations into the design that you see before you today, and staff support those updates. And I believe the applicant is in the audience today. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So now I'd like to invite the applicant, Mr. Harry Evans from Rand Construction Incorporated, to speak to the application.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. So yeah, to your point, Jags Furniture is an existing retail furniture warehouse store on Langley Bypass. This development application is looking to expand that existing warehouse and continue to provide furniture retail services in the city of Langley.
Great, thank you, Mr. Evans. I'd like now to invite anyone in attendance at this meeting who deems their interest in property affected by the development permit application to present their comments, please. Is Ms. Kuzak, is there anyone who wishes to speak to the development application?
Madam Mayor, there's no one in attendance.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I guess with that, there's nothing else on this. So motion is that council rise and report. Sturdivant and Albrecht, any further discussion on that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Regular meeting minutes from November 22nd, 2021, that the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 22nd, 2021 be adopted as circulated. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Wallace, any corrections, errors, or omissions to be reported? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, any opposed, that carries. Special pre-closed meeting minutes from November 15th, 2021, that the minutes of the special pre-closed meeting held on November 15th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Albrecht, any errors, corrections, or omissions to be reported? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, any opposed, that carries. And next, the special pre-closed meeting minutes from November 29th, 2021, that the minutes of the special pre-closed meeting held on November 29th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Mover and a seconder, please. Sturdivant and Albrecht. Any corrections, errors, or omissions? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, any opposed, and that carries. All right, moving on to business arising from Committee of the Whole, development permit number DP 0621. Motion is that development permit application number 0621 for a 1,499.11 meter squared commercial addition to a large scale furniture store at 20359 Langley Bypass be approved. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Paul, Councillor Sturdivant, discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to comment that the applicant did move forward with the recommendations of the advisory design panel, putting in a place for people to have a break who work there, and also adding more landscaping, making sure all the parking spots are accessible. So when you exit, you don't have to wheel through the parking lot. And they also added a crosswalk. So it was really good that they considered that. And it's certainly something that I hope all developments along the Langley bypass consider. So thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be supporting the DP.
Okay, great. Councillor Sturdivant, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Hall, for your comments. I agree that this application seems to be an upgrade to the facility and an improvement. I appreciate the amenities that they've introduced to make it more pedestrian friendly and safer. And I too will be supporting this application and encouraging others to do the same. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Albrecht.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. A question maybe for staff. In the recent storm events that we've been having, we have an environmental area that this is getting close to, and I'm just wondering, was it well out of reach of the flooding and the surcharge of the water course that cuts across this property, and if there will be any future issues, because that was a pretty significant storm, and I want to make sure that we're not getting into any kind of trouble. Thank you.
Mr. Gill.
Well, actually, if you could please tell me where exactly the location is. Sorry, I missed that part. My apologies.
I would say the 20300 block of
Yeah,
Langley bypass.
20359 Langley bypass.
Well, every time that we have severe storm, unfortunately, those areas are in floodplain and we see some flooding here and there. But basically what we are doing is just to control the flood and have a reactive kind of measures to sandbag areas and to protect the areas. This is basically the extent of work that we're doing at this stage.
Okay, thank you. Council Albrecht, did you have a follow-up question or?
No, I guess maybe I was hoping that staff went by the property during the event and that there was no issues. So that's what I was kind of hoping for peace of mind.
Sorry, I was not even here. I was out of province, so I didn't have a chance to do that.
That's okay, Mr. Gill. I think Mr. Johansson has a comment here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Albrecht. That might be a question for the applicant in terms of the actual state of it's Jeffrey Brook that runs to the east along the property line there. And the applicant had to do an RER assessment and run it by the Ministry of Forest Lands and in order to get that approved. So in terms of the setbacks from the stream and top of bank and that sort of thing, they had to follow that. Again, I don't know personally of issues there. We can look into that and bring information back to council. That's if that was an issue there, but to my knowledge, I don't think there was any major issues there.
Thank you. Like I said, I just thought I'd ask the question to make sure that we weren't approving or accepting something that was going to be problematic. Thank you.
Fair enough. Okay, any other discussion on this? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Okay, Mayor's report, upcoming meetings, regular council meeting, the last one for the year is next week, December 13th, 2021, and that will be 3 p.m. virtual. And the first one of 2022 will be January 10th at 3 p.m. virtual. And now we have library happenings with Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Okay, the City of Langley Library update. Is there a slide presentation?
I'm just getting it. One moment, please. There we go. And there. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay, so slide 2. Rapid Read is in full swing. This is the WAR room in the planning stages. Staff utilize their expertise to choose books for each age group that kids are sure to love. Staff organized thousands of new books for babies through to kids 18 years old. Rapid Read is a long-standing community partnership program and provides kids whose parents or caregivers register with the Langley Christmas Bureau with a new book for Christmas. Staff began handing out books on November the 19th and will continue until December the 24th. The Reading Link Challenge books were announced in November to much excitement. The books have now been delivered to the participating libraries and schools, including those in the City of Langley. Reading Link Challenge is an award-winning public library school partnership program that promotes the sport of reading. Staff from Fraser Valley Regional Library work with school librarians and teachers to recruit teams of 6 students in grades 4 and 5. This program is a series of quiz trivia challenges with questions based on 6 books. All teams participate in 1 or more levels of challenge, with the winning teams advancing to higher levels of competition within the community. In the next slide, in this special podcast of Fraser Valley Regional Library's Kid Read Radio Reading Link Challenge Coordinator, Dana Lawson tells kids all about the 6 Reading Link Challenges books. And if that wasn't excitement enough, Uma, Krishnaswamy, one of this year's Reading Link Challenge authors, is doing a virtual author visit on her chapter book, Uncle and Me. And the next slide. During the short stays of fall and winter, customers may consider borrowing a sunshine lamp. Sunshine lamps are light therapy boxes that emit a bright light, 10,000 lux. They are meant to reproduce the effects of natural sunlight. Many people use light therapy to combat the winter blues or cheer up on cloudy days. And comfort food, cozy crafts, and indoor activities are featured in this month's book list to get you through the season. And calling on all cooking enthusiasts. Do you love trying new recipes and sharing your cooking experiences, meal ideas, or culinary tips with others? Join us for the Cookbook Club. Each month, we will explore a culinary theme. At our December session, we will be diving into a discussion of holiday treats. Please come prepared to share your favorites. And it's the most wonderful time of the year. Journey through Whoville and get into the holiday spirit with our Grinch trivia event. Participate by yourself or gather together with other Whos in your household and play as a team. And all uked up and no place to jam. All levels of experience are welcome at our fun and relaxed virtual ukulele circle. This month, we will play holiday songs. And last but not least, holiday windows in the library's children area bring lots of smiles to all ages. And that's my report for this month, and Fraser Valley Regional Library wishes everybody a wonderful Christmas season. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. Councillor Wallace and Councillor Bahal.
Thank you to Councillor Martin. Thank you for your report, Councillor Martin. I'm really excited to see the Wrap a Read program still going strong. But you know, being volunteering at the Christmas Bureau, that was one of the biggest highlights for parents, is coming in and getting a book. So I'm glad to see that is still happening. So is that when they go to register or when they go to? Yeah, I'm wondering. You said about how they get their books at the Christmas Bureau.
Yeah, they have to be registered with the Christmas Bureau.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Bahal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through the mayor to Councillor Martin. I do appreciate your reports. It's always great to know what's going on with our library. I know it's something that's well cherished by our community, and I got my FVRL mug right now with some tea. So it's definitely great to see the service, especially in our community where having those free services is so critical. And I do appreciate the passion you bring towards our library services and the advocacy you provide as a chair, I believe, on the FVRL board. So thank you, Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much.
Hey, anyone else? All right, thank you for that. Up next, we have the engineering report, Hired Gill, Manager of Engineering Services. You're on mute, Mr. Gill.
Sorry about it. I looked at the map before I started the presentation. I just want to get back to question that Councilor Albrecht had. That area is a floodplain area, and any application over there has to go above flood construction level if it answers the question. So we'll of course look to see whether they follow all the bylaw requirements, including the floodplain, the bylaw. I hope this is what you were asking. I apologize for not understanding exactly what you were asking about. But
Councilor Albrecht, go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Gill. Councilor Albrecht just wants to respond to that, please.
Yeah, no, I thank you for the following up and checking on that. I assume that's what we would be doing, but I just wanted to be sure. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Gill.
Oh, my pleasure. Sure. Okay, and let me share my screen. Sure. Here we go. Is that here? Do you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon. Please allow me to briefly discuss some of the projects that the Department of Engineering, Parks, and the Environment was working on. We had, as you know, we have had a project along 200th Street. This is a sanitary sewer upgrade that connects to the metro. The Director of Engineering last month had some actually some slides and presentation about the status of this project. This project is still going on, and we are continuing the pipe bursting during this week and next week. We are going to do pipe bursting from Great Crescent to 49 Avenue, and we expect this piece of work to be complete at the end of January, and after that we're going to repave the road in the spring, and it's going to be only on the northbound lane of the road. On 208 Street project, we had some delays in the project because of the flooding. As you can see this slide, the culvert extension on both sides are now complete. For the next week or two, we're going to work on the concrete work on the east side of the bridge in this area for the sidewalk. And then we pour asphalt in here. We have, this is the building process. We add asphalt in here to create a mop in here on the bridge. This slide in here also shows the process that we follow in order to actually build the mop in here. This is the sidewalk here. We mill the part of the pavement. We pour asphalt in here with some rebars in here. And this is going to be a new mop. We had removal of hazard tree during recent floods and windstorm at 53 Avenue and 200th Street. The crews were working to remove this, as you see in this picture. Also, we had median refurbishing. These two entryway medians have been a common complaint by residents for being unsightly. We removed this junipers that usually tend to collect garbage, and we put turf instead. Glover Road project is going on, as you know. We are just doing road-based preparation for paving. This piece of work is expected to end in January, and then in the spring, we're going to have the second lift. Then after that, road markings and placement of the planters. Here you see a snapshot of the water connections by city crews along, again, the Glover project. Here, crews are working on finishing curb in front of the Valley Village. And this is before Christmas time. This is expected to be done. And come after that, we're going to have concrete patching of sections of the sidewalk and paving the raised bicycle lane, the northbound from Fraser to East. This is talking about flooding. This is the flooding event that during the last storm event we had. Some of the bridges were, as you see, flooded. Here is the old Yale Bridge. The other one is at the pedestrian bridge east of 203 Street. Here is another one at Pleasantdale Creek. This is the relative location of this bridge. The water actually pressure lifted the bridge up and dislocated the bridge in here. And the previous slide, when I actually showed the picture of flooding at one of the bridges at 203rd, relatively, this is the location of that bridge. And this is this bridge. In total, our staff inspected about 20 bridges, and 7 of them needed some works that have been taken care of. Again, here you see the trail entrance at 51B Avenue and 207th Street. And on the right side of the screen, you see the 208th Street. We're looking at north at on 208 and 51B. Trails were not immune. As you see, debris and mud also covered some of our trails. Crews did an amazing job by cleaning up after the floods. This is the Portage Park area. We have had some road closures as well. And this map is showing the areas, the sections of roads that were closed. And of this, in 50th Avenue, in this location, a culvert was blocked, and that was the reason that it backed up, water backed up and overtopped the road and caused flooding in this area. As a general note, I have to add that during flood events, the city provides sandbags at the operations center, which is located at 5713 198th Street. Many people, many of our residents already took advantage of this during the recent flood event. On the positive side, Christmas is coming, and with that, decorations. Park staff did an amazing job, as you can see here at McBurney Plaza. This is another view of that. Same. This is the decoration in front of City Hall. It's Douglas Park. This is another view of Douglas Park. And all these lightings. Same. And here you see our staff working, preparing things in the workshop for the Christmas decorations. We have had, among other minor projects, 4 major projects we have. One is the floodplain mapping. We are revisiting the flood construction level and having a more accurate look at the creek networks, river network, to come up with a better flood construction, more accurate flood construction level. And this recent flood will help us a lot. It gave us some good data to calibrate our model better. And hopefully we're gonna come up with a much more accurate model for our rivers and creeks. And after that, we're gonna update our floodplain model. You also have transportation master plan going on, plus 2 other master plans, one for water and sewer. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Gill, for that. And thank you to the staff for their quick response during the flooding and all the cleanup and the wonderful Christmas decorations. We've got an absolutely fantastic staff here at the city, and kudos to all of them for coming together and doing what they did. So thank you on all accounts. Councillor Albrecht, you're up first.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your report, Mr. Gill. I just wanted to commend staff for their hard work. While our community wasn't as severely impacted as many others in the Fraser Valley, they were very quick to respond and address the significant issues that we were facing, and their work and my appreciation goes beyond words. I think they've a real credit to our community, keeping our people safe. And even after a snowstorm like last night, our roads were in really great shape, and people were able to move safely and confidently. I also want to make sure that we recognize that there's a lot of homeowners out there that helped us during the storm, clearing catch basins and keeping those waters moving for our community. So I want to just take my hat off to any community member that was out there doing the work. Christmas lights, unbelievable. I'm so proud of how our community looks. I've heard nothing but good things from many people from that live in different areas, not even just in Langley City, but from outside communities. They're totally impressed with it. The floodplain mapping is I think critical as we move forward in developing our community, making sure that we respect our environmental areas as well as protect assets and people's homes and businesses. I was fortunate enough to take in part of the master transportation plan presentation. It was outstanding, and I'm looking forward to the recommendations that come out from there. And to finally wrap up the water and sewer master plan is, I think, long overdue. It's something that we have aging infrastructure, and it's really important for us to know exactly where our future problems may lie or occur and make sure that we're prepared for them rather than waiting for something bad to happen and having to react. I'd rather be proactive than reactive. And again, staff are amazing, and I just can't thank them all enough. So please pass that along to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure they're all watching this, Councillor Albrecht. Councillor Pahal, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to Mr. Gill. Yeah, I was really impressed with the speed of the trail cleanup, because I think I was on the trail the weekend after, and it was completely walkable, which is really nice. Just a quick question with the Glover Road project. I know we're going to get into the minus temperatures. So if we get to that, does that mean you won't be able to do the first lift of asphalt and it will be gravel for a little bit, or what? How will that work?
I don't know the specific whether they're gonna warm up the area or not, but I was told that if weather is not actually cooperating, they have to delay a little bit the work. They did not mention anything about the specific. You can work under some freezing degree, but it adds to the cost, and whether this is something that the contractor is looking into. I doubt it, but I don't have the exact information on this. I can find out and email the council after that if you want.
Sorry, Mr. Chung, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Councillor Pakal, my understanding is that they will try to maintain the gravel surface as best they can, but what they're trying to accomplish is that to do the first lift of the asphalt in the temperature, and if the weather cannot permit the second lift of the asphalt, then that will have to wait until the new year when the temperature gets higher. But they're planning to do that at least the first lift. If not, then they'll have to maintain the gravel surface throughout the terms of the winter season.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, those were my questions. Thanks.
Councillor Strayhorn, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Pahal and Councillor Albrecht didn't leave much for me. I got to say they covered it off, but I do want to say that, yes, the flooding was significant in our community. I'm curious to know how many residents were directly affected by the flooding. We've got a terrific map that was prepared for us, identifying the road closures, and I expect that there might have been some residents along those roads that had flooding in the basements. I've even received some reports from individuals who said that the parking garages and the condominiums were impacted significantly. It's a terrible thing when people are affected like this, especially because they have to use their insurance, and then the insurance deductibles go up, and it impacts us for a long time. I think there's a learning opportunity here that we really need to take into consideration, as the flooding was mostly on the east end of our city. So I'll look forward to staying connected with staff and seeing what we can do to try to mitigate those problems for the future. And I will also echo Councillor Albrecht's comments about the Christmas lights. In this time when we're going through a pandemic and an opioid crisis and a housing crisis and a flooding crisis and all of these things seem to be just barreling down on us. Those Christmas lights really stir the spirit of Christmas in me, and I'm sure they do in others too. I really appreciate the staff putting a special effort into this year's Christmas display. It's like their expression to the rest of us about Christmas and how we need to be encouraged to believe that there will be a better day and that we can have a Merry Christmas today. Thank you for your report, Mr. Gill. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Wallace.
Thank you through the mayor, and thank you to my colleagues with their comments. Some of them are what I wanted to say, and they did it so well. I really look forward to the flood mapping. I think it's necessary, and I look forward to seeing when that comes to surface. Also, I wanted to comment on the lights, and I know that there's been a lot of good comments, of course, but living down here, I live a block away from the lights, and the amount of people, families, individuals, people from outside our community, just being around them and the happiness that it is creating, and just the awe is just so wonderful. And so happy that you showed the photographs of the elves. I'm going to call them our elves working in the woodwork shop there. It was so nice to see that picture, because that stage is pretty incredible with what they've built, with the big drum in the middle of the stage and the gifts and then the tree on top. It just makes for such a beautiful photograph. And I kind of watched it as it progressed, and you're like, wow, this is so beautiful. And then another day would go by and like, they're adding more, it's even nicer. And then another day would go by, but it just seems to flow so beautifully, coming down the street of Douglas and Fraser Highway, the one-way street, into McBurney Lane, through to Douglas Park. Just commend the staff for the work they've done. And I know that the community needs some light right now, and some hope. So many thanks to staff.
Great. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you, Mr. Gill, for your report. Okay, moving on to bylaws. The next three bylaws are to do with Metro Vancouver. First bylaw 3201, sanitary sewer and storm sewer rates and regulation amendment bylaw. Final reading of a bylaw to amend the sanitary sewer and storm sewer rates and regulation bylaw. Rate amendment. Motion forward is that the bylaw cited as sanitary sewer and storm sewer rates and regulations bylaw 2003, number 2494, amendment number 20, bylaw number 3201 be read a final time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Stortaboom. I'm going to pick Councillor Albrecht because he's right underneath. Any discussion? I think we've talked about this a lot already. All right, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. On to bylaw 3202, Waterworks Regulation Amendment Bylaw. Final reading of a bylaw to amend the Waterworks Regulation Bylaw rate amendment. Motion is that by the bylaw cited as Waterworks Regulation Bylaw 2004, number 2550, amendment number 24, bylaw number 3202, be read a final time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Stortaboom. Councillor Albrecht. Any discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Bylaw 3203, Solid Waste Amendment Bylaw. Final reading of a bylaw to amend the Solid Waste Bylaw rate amendment. Motion that the bylaw cited as Solid Waste Bylaw 2016, number 2991, amendment number 5, bylaw number 3203 be read a final time. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Stortaboom, Councillor James, any discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And the last bylaw up is bylaw 3198, Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw. First, second, and third reading of a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaws, various fees. Motion that this bylaw cited as the Fees and Charges Bylaw number 2010 number 2837, amendment number 31, bylaw 2021, number 3198 be read a first, second, and third time. Councillor Pahal, Councillor Sturtevant, any discussion on this? Councillor Pahal, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through the mayor to maybe Ms. Hilton. I believe we are looking at increasing the fees for the game room and the walking track from $10 to $20. And I was just curious around the rationale for that. I know that a lot of folks use those, and I know that they may be folks who that increase may be a lot to handle. So I was just wondering about that, or if I read it completely wrong.
No, you did not read it wrong through the mayor to Councillor Pahal. Yes, we are increasing the fees for the games room and track pass. We haven't increased them since we moved into the facility. I think the $20 is very reasonable for the year. And if someone is finding that very challenging, we do have our leisure access grant as well, so they can apply for that and get a subsidy for that program. But it does give them access to the games room and the track for 363 days of the year. So it's great value even at the $20. And we are seeing a lot of use of the equipment, which does need to be replaced. And that's why the increase has been introduced.
And if I was a person under the age of 18, would I be able to apply for this access pass without my parents?
You sure can. Yeah, we have our youth programmer, Taryn, who his office is in that room. And so they could see him and he would help them, assist them in applying for that grant.
That's really great. And yeah, just to reiterate, you don't need your parents or anybody to apply for this. You can go on your own.
That's correct. We work with everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That answers my question.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments or discussion before I call the vote? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Okay, on to administrative reports, advisory bodies, policies, CO-79. Ms. Kenny, do you wish to introduce the policy? There you are. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Wait 2 seconds here. Almost had it. It worked in the when I was.
It was there. There it is.
Okay, can you see that? I'm just trying to bring it up to not be notes, but anyway, so you can see there. So these were the goals, just to remind everyone of the goals for conducting this review of all of our different advisory bodies. We wanted to make sure we're in compliance with legislation. These are the must-dos that we have. We want to have more clarity of our roles, the committee's purpose and the expectations of the committees. We wanted to have a consistency across the rules and processes and procedures for all of these advisory bodies, and transparency, that the public and everyone knows how a decision came to be through a committee. And effectiveness, we want to be able to show that the resources and time that's been spent is equal to the expected results of the committee work. And then accountability, reporting back to those that the committees are accountable to. So I just wanted to just share that. That was just one I wanted to share. And as you know, we have a number of advisory bodies. The policy actually identifies 9 different types of bodies that we're trying to achieve those goals with the policy. So I'll just leave it there. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I know you've worked really hard on this, Ms. Kenny. Councillor Sturtevant. You're on mute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Kenny, for all of the hard work that you've done in this. I appreciate the fact that this is not my area of expertise, but it's something that I've been wanting for a long time. This kind of clarification will serve as a foundation for council procedure moving forward. And I just want to express my gratitude to you for putting this together for us so that we have something that we can use as a reference. my compliments to you and your team. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Great, thank you. I'm standing up our hands up, so I'm going to read the motion. That one, advisory bodies policy CO-79 be approved. Two, committees and working groups policy CO22 be repealed. And three, annual reports for committees policy CO-28 be repealed. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Stortebin, Councillor Pahal. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Thank you very much for all your work on that, Ms. Kenny. I know you've been working on it a really long time. So thank you. All right, on to Metro Vancouver 2050. And I believe Mr. Johansson, you have a few comments. Please share.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon once again, Mayor and Council. This report is being brought forward in response to a request from Metro Vancouver for Council to provide feedback on the draft regional growth strategy, otherwise known as Metro 2050. Metro staff presented an overview of Metro 2050 to Council at the November 1st regular Council meeting, and staff have since drafted the report and a letter outlining proposed feedback to Metro Vancouver on Metro 2050, which of course is before you on today's agenda. This letter expresses support for the draft Metro 2050 document, but does highlight some points of feedback regarding some minor concerns about the increasing prescriptiveness of the regional growth strategy over time. I was just flipping through the the Livable Region Strategic Plan from 1996, and great overview document for the region. That was, I believe, 35 pages. The new Metro 2050 document is over 100 pages. The number of policies and actions identified in the documents are quite a bit higher than even the previous Metro Vancouver 2040. We understand that the region is growing and evolving and maturing, and things are getting a little bit more complicated. But the concern is that it may erode local planning autonomy over time. Also noting that there's a number of new urban center and transit development areas that are added to the plan. Adds a little bit of additional complexity to the plan, and we just want to make sure it doesn't weaken the emphasis on our existing regional city centers like the Langley City Center, which of course is a key anchor point in the regional city center network, and also the growing SkyTrain system. Another point about enabling residential uses in employment areas near rapid transit. A little concerned about that, given that our OCP does identify some mixed employment areas close to rapid transit. And our preferred approach to this would be actually to undertake further planning in these areas and then work with Metro staff on land use changes as necessary. Of course, tree canopy goals are good. We want to make sure we have those as aspirational targets, but we just want to note that it's going to take a concerted effort to replace and add trees, and an urban forest strategy is required to guide this. The city supports a 15% affordable rental housing goal, but we just want to note that it's important to outline that it might be a little bit difficult to track over time. That's something that Metro Vancouver will have to work with local governments on how to do that. And an update to our affordable housing strategy will be needed to help us inform our contribution to that. And lastly, the Metro 2050 maps just need to be updated to reflect our updated OCP. But with that, overall, it's a good document. It's solid vision for the region. We just have some minor points here for council's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johansson. Councillor Albrecht.
Yes, thank you. And I just want to express my appreciation, Mr. Johansson, to you and Mr. Beto and your team in analyzing the Metro 2050 document and coming back with some discussion points for council to review during a working session. And I think you've captured all concerns that I could see and remember. And I'm totally supportive of this moving forward. So again, thank you very much. I think you've got it nailed.
Thank you, Mr. Albrecht. Start writing things down. That's what I have to do. Almost 50. Counselor James, you are up next.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to reiterate what Councillor Albrecht said. Metro 2050 is a massive document. I can't imagine being the people who had to sift through it literally line by line and make sure that the city's best interests were being looked after in that whole plan. So didn't go unnoticed as I was trying to get through the Metro 2050 that being the people responsible for actually responding, pretty outstanding. So I just genuinely wanted to say thank you to everybody involved.
Okay, Councillor Pahal.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, the staff, again, thanks for putting this together and your comments. I think to me, what's really important and why I'll be supporting this letter is it says the city strongly supports Metro Vancouver's initiative to update the regional growth strategy. So that's the important part to me, is that we're fully supportive of Metro 2050. One of the things that I just sort of question a little bit in our comments, and again, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as it were, is I really don't think our tree canopy targets should be aspirational. They should be the targets. We are in a climate crisis, and I know that our city was specifically called out in a report earlier this summer about a lack of tree canopy north of the Nickel. So it is something where I know that I hope that as a municipality, we do take it with the full goal of meeting the regional objectives of tree canopy, because I believe it is very important. So again, I'll support it, but I just think that the tree canopy protection is not aspirational. It is something necessary. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Councillor Stortepin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate all the previous comments to mine. I want to acknowledge the fact that there has been a tremendous amount of work that's gone into this, and I appreciate staff doing the review. It's interesting to be looking at a document and wondering if I'll actually live that long that I can actually see the implementation of this in its completion. But that being said, the planning that goes into this is really important. I can't always say that the planning actually is how it plays out, because there are always variables to be taken into consideration. But the idea of continuity is certainly valuable without losing our autonomy. I think that we need to sometimes push back a little bit on Metro Vancouver and recognize that they are a service provider, not another level of government. So any comments to keep that perspective would be greatly appreciated moving forward. I'll support the report and all the work that's gone into it, but there is a caveat there that we don't necessarily lose our autonomy, and I trust that the other municipalities in the Metro Vancouver region may feel a little bit threatened, may make themselves known in this regard as well. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, and I'll be supporting this report as well, and thank you for all the work that's gone into it. The things that still alarm me and I'm questioning on how we're going to move forward is the affordable housing piece and the affordable housing strategy, not only in Langley City, but in the region, and just the amount of people struggling, and then that equitable, equity piece. As we continue to grow, as the SkyTrain does make its way to Langley, my hope is that we do follow through in building affordable housing and being able to keep our residents here to work, live, and play in the city. So those are things that kind of stick out for me. The extreme weather conditions that we're facing is definitely going to play a part in looking how we do things in the future. And to Councillor Pahal's comment in regards to our tree canopy and needing to look at the valuable asset that is and bringing that forward. So I just want to thank the city staff in your comments and your hard work in moving forward. And I look forward to it coming to fruition. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And I'll throw in my 2 bits as well. I'd like to thank staff for reviewing this. I know being on the Mayor's Council and Vice Chair of the Regional Transportation Committee for TransLink and the Regional Committee for Metro Vancouver. I know we've been working really hard on this for the last 3 years on the Mayor's Council and other committees throughout Metro Vancouver. And this has been really important, and it's been a lot of work, and we really want to make sure that this addresses everyone's concerns throughout Metro Vancouver. But on another note, in regards, it does tie in with the climate action plans for the federal and the provincial government and the transportation plan for TransLink. So when we are going to be reviewing our mayor's 10-year vision with TransLink, this will fit into it as well. So everything has, we've all been working together, which has never been done before. And I was doing that on the board previously with Metro Vancouver. So it was a great experience, and we had some really great workshops. So I'm very proud to be a part of this. And I think there's some great initiatives on here that Metro Vancouver has taken action. So I'm glad to see it, and I'm glad to see that the council supports this. So thank you. All right, so I will read the motion out. That Council 1 approve the draft letter to Metro Vancouver, attachment 1, setting out the city's comments on Metro Vancouver 2050, the draft regional growth strategy, and 2, direct staff to send the city's comments to Metro Vancouver. Any further discussion on that? Councillor Albrecht, and a seconder on that, please. Councillor Wallace. Okay, any further discussion? Sorry, there was people's hands that went up, but I wanted to make sure that nobody else had anything else to say. Okay, call a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. I'm working off my list. Okay, on to motions and notices of motion. So I will, Councillor Storteboom, yours will come after Councillor Albrecht's because it's an addition, just to let you know. So the first motion is Magic to Christmas Parade Committee, Councillor Albrecht.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, sorry to interrupt. I'm going to recuse myself from this one. There's a possibility that the LBA might come involved or enter into it. So I just want to make sure I'm not in any
So
conflict.
what would the conflict be?
Potential reimbursement for Christmas light expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so
Councillor.
So I
I'm
can't
good to
remember
go.
how to do this.
You
Do
need to leave, and we'll let you know when to come back in. Staff will let you know, but you need to please shut off your camera. And
Maybe I can try to put her in the waiting room, or
sure.
Let me just try that right now. There we go.
Okay, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Councillor Albrecht, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, so my motion is that council allocate up to $10,000 from the Magic of Christmas Parade budget to provide additional Christmas lights along Fraser Highway from 201 to 203 Street. And if that's seconded, I could add more information.
I'll second it.
Yep.
So yeah, this process started a long time ago. We've not neglected, let's say, but there's businesses along Fraser Highway that's prior to the downtown one-way major section. And it's something that they've always been coming to the city looking for some Christmas lighting. Our budget was always taken up with the parade. We finally had an opportunity to provide some lighting, but the DLBA actually stepped in and started the process. So I'm just looking to do something that or the committee is looking at doing something that the city should be doing, and that's providing lighting along a main corridor that comes into our community and adds that cheerfulness, that happiness, that spread of Christmas cheer in the holiday season throughout our community. And the opportunity arose, and we felt that it was an appropriate time and appropriate thing to do. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer from there. Thank you.
Councillor Storteboom.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Albrecht, for bringing this forward. I can honestly say that the folks who live along Fraser Highway between 201 and 203, they've been feeling left out for a long time. Especially, you know, starting way back when the cruising kind of shrunk over to the other side of 203rd. So the folks at the meat plaza and the shops along here, it really disappointed. Then the parade went away. Used to go right down the Fraser Highway from 201st Street. And we had Christmas lights along here before, but then that disappeared. Some of the trees are gone. This would be a real boost to the spirit. And I realized that we'd be looking at maybe reimbursing what the Merchants Association have already established here. Can't thank them enough for taking the initiative to respond to those who are our participants in our community and responding to their requests to be included. So I will support this initiative and thank you again for bringing it up. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I just want to clarify. I believe the money's already been spent by the DLBA. Is that correct? And this is going to reimburse them?
From my understanding, yeah, since I submitted the motion, the payment has been made. So yeah, it would be a reimbursement.
So I'm wondering if we should change the wording of the motion that council reimburse the Downtown Langley Business Association for the cost of the Christmas lights along Fraser Highway from 201 to 203, because we're not really providing more lights. They're already there. They've been paid for, but we're reimbursing.
Oh, we'd be buying the lights, they become city property.
So you're buying the lights off of the DLBA.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to the mayor, to Councillor Albrecht. Just for clarity, I think there was a plan before the DLBA purchased these lights that the city was going to put lights there. Is that correct?
There was a petition. Our staff had received a petition to add lighting along Fraser Highway for that block. We were in process of I think finding out what the cost would be and trying to implement that and finding the budget or the funding for it. With the cancellation of the parade, we had some excess money available to staff from the parade committee. So we thought it would be appropriate to redirect.
Yeah, I guess the point is that this wasn't the DLBA sort of forcing the city's hand by purchasing lights. This was something that I believe, were already looking into. So just for me, just so it's clear that I support this, obviously, but that it wasn't some back deal to get the city to pay for lights. This was something that, you know, we were looking at doing. The merchants did go forward with it. We have some money. We're going to reimburse them. And like Councillor Stortaboom said, we've had Christmas lights there before. For some reason, they went away. And I think it is the western gateway to our downtown. And so it should deserve the Christmas light treatment, just like our eastern gateway. So to me, the rationale seems pretty sound on putting Christmas lights at the western gateway of our downtown, which is why I support this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely correct. And just regarding the previous lighting, they became old. They weren't as efficient, you know, from an electrical perspective. These are all LED lighting. And yeah, it wasn't a DLBA initiative. It was a downtown petition from the residents and business owners from 201 to 203.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, through the mayor. Yeah, I think Councillor Martin, she brings a good point, because I'm all in favor for having the lights, and I'm thankful that, you know, the petition was done. There's no argument that we need lights there, and, you know, these businesses are being left out, but they've already paid for them. So it does become a reimbursement, and then it becomes property of the city. So I think it's important to follow through. I like how Councillor Martin had worded it, because it just makes sense. That's the process, and that's how it's been done. Thank you.
Hey,
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I'm happy to revise the motion to that council reimburse the DLBA up to $10,000 from the Magic Christmas Parade budget to provide additional Christmas lights along Fraser Highway from 201 to 203.
Okay, that's the amendment. Who would like to second that? I'll give it to Councillor Martin since it was her suggestion. Further discussion? I do have a few questions. Who did the petition go to, and what is the date that the petition came into the city? Because I feel like we don't have a choice. I agree there should be Christmas lights up there or not. I think this was a decision made prior to it even coming to council, which is obvious, putting us in a predicament that we have to say yes to this, which we should say yes to it, but we should be budgeting better. And so I'd like to know the date that this petition came into and if it actually came to the city or if it went to the DLBA.
Yeah, yes, Madam Mayor. The petition did come in. It came to Mr. Baumhoff. I did not see the actual petition. I do not know the date of it, but I know there was a petition that was received by Mr. Baumhoff from those businesses in that stretch of road. We did not have a budget item or a budget area from the city budget process to cover it. And like I said, it just seemed appropriate with the Christmas committee having some funds not being used by the parade. So I'm not sure if Francis can provide any other details.
Mr. Chung?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I recall that we did receive a letter. I don't remember whether it was a petition or not, but I do remember receiving a letter from the owner of the clock and watch place, petitioning council to put up additional lights along the Fraser Highway between 201 Street and 203rd. Also remember the owner of Sea Level was very vocal about that. And actually he phoned up actually last week about when are we going to be putting up more lights along that section of the Fraser Highway. So I don't remember what day. I think it was probably a couple years ago. And we were just trying to find out some funding for it. We haven't been the last couple of years. So we can certainly try to find that letter and then provide that letter to council.
Okay, so the DLBA has been working with city staff prior to it being approved by city council to put up the lights. That's another question I have as well, please.
My understanding is the DLBA worked with staff in order to have staff install the lights as well as store the lights, and they would become city lights. So this is again, it seems like a right thing to do, and that's why I brought it forward. It's I don't know what else to say. So
okay, Ms. Kenny, do you have the amended motion or do you need it clarified again for the records?
No, Madam Mayor, it's to reimburse the DLBA up to $10,000, and then the rest of the motion is as read.
Okay, great. I will call the vote on the amended motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Okay, you can bring Councillor James back in, please.
So, Madam Mayor, that was the amended motion on the amendment. Are you going to then call the question on
the regular?
On the main motion.
I can do that. On the original motion, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Is that good, Ms. Kenny?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wallace.
Sorry, Councillor James is back, but I was going to ask the question in how that was done, but I'm just going to leave it as it is since.
Yeah, we can't discuss this any further.
Yeah, I know, obviously. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Sturdivant, you're up with your motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and all of council and staff. I did send out 2 resolutions. I'm going to go with the first one tonight. The second one, we're going to hopefully deal with that in the working session. My resolution is as follows. Whereas the aftermath of recent flooding events continue to exasperate communities and devastate municipalities across our province. Whereas this recent flooding may be the greatest and most costly natural disaster in our nation's history. Whereas our neighbors in the city of Abbotsford have been especially hard hit by this weather disaster, be it resolved that Langley City Council offer written communication of support to Abbotsford Mayor Henry Braun and his council in order to encourage the residents of Abbotsford and especially the farming community of the Sumas Prairie. Further, be it resolved that Langley City send letters of encouragement and support to other municipalities seriously impacted by the exceptional weather and significant flooding, including but not limited to Chilliwack, Hope, Princeton, and Merritt. And that is my resolution, Madam Mayor.
I'm going to seconder on that, please. Councillor Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Councillor Sturtevant.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Christmas is going to be a whole lot different for a whole lot of people here in our province this year. It's a terrible thing to be dealing with this, especially during a time of a pandemic. It makes people wonder what's next. I think that as we send out our Christmas cards and wish our friends and family, you know, good wishes for the holiday season, for Christmas and the New Year, it would be appropriate for us to send out a measure of communication to our nearby neighbors here in the Fraser Valley and throughout the southern province of British Columbia. I realize that there's been a lot more impacted by this flooding in other municipalities. If those happen to be made known to us and we would prefer to send them words of encouragement as well, I would ask that we do so. It's just a timely opportunity to wish them well and let them know that we care about their situation. It's been brought to my attention too that some of our people have in fact been helping where they can. In particular, our manager of building and license, Bev Endersby, assisted the city of Abbotsford with other building inspectors to assess approximately 3,300 structures in Abbotsford to determine whether or not they were livable, usable, and Bev completed the task at hand very quickly. So my compliments to Bev and the rest of the team. I can't help but wonder if there are other resources that we might be able to afford. But for the most part, the object of the exercise is just to wish them well, encourage them, and offer whatever assistance we may be available to give. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and I know they would appreciate our support. I know in discussions at UBCM and FCM in the last couple of weeks and talking with folks, it's been extremely hard on everyone. And I know myself and other staff members have been out sandbagging and stuff too. So thank yous to staff for doing that. So appreciate it, and Bev. So, okay, any other comments? Call the vote. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, so thank you for bringing that forward. Okay, on to new business. Motion to hold a closed meeting, that the council meeting immediately following this meeting will be closed to the public as the subject matter being considered relates to items which comply with the following closed meeting criteria specified in section 90 of the community charter. 1C, labor relations and other employee relations. 1E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements. If the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality. 1J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. 1K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality if they were held in public. 1L, discussions with municipal officers and employees respecting municipal objectives, measures, and progress reports for the purposes of preparing an annual report under section 98, annual municipal report. 2B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Albrecht. All those in favor and opposed, that carries. And we will do a motion that the meeting adjourn. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Wallace, Councillor Storteboom. All those in favor, any opposed, that carries. Have a wonderful evening, everyone who's watching at home.